everything changed in May because Google just changed the rules. So for those who are old enough to be around for when they changed the algorithm, this is 1,000 times bigger. Google search is now dead. It's now officially dead.
People are not searching location and thing anymore. They're in their AI search agents, and now it'll be in Google. They're asking for help with something. And now those AI agents are going out and searching for the solution to what they're looking for help with.
Most people becomes really important because most people want to build trust and build a connection with the people that they work with.
Hey, and welcome to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And on the second attempt, we have Jeanine all the way from Tampa, Florida. We've Steve all the way from Australia. And there's little old Ronan here in Ireland. And we're here with an amazing podcast for you because everything changed in May. So you're probably listening to this in June, but everything changed in May because Google just changed the rules. So for those who are old enough to be around like I am for when they changed the algorithm, the penguin algorithm, some of you may remember that, and everybody who's on page one disappeared, this is 1,000 times bigger than that. So Google search is now dead. We're going to talk about that. It's now officially dead. And if you have been on Google recently, you've probably seen this little button beside the search bar that says AI mode. And this is the first jump into AI mode. But the plan that Google are rolling out is that very near future, there'll be nothing but AI mode. So, Steve, Jeanine, big changes. All of those photographers have been relying on Google search. You've got to reimagine what you're going to do.
So for those photographers that have spent all this time setting up their SEO and got their rankings up, all that disappears now. Is that right?
It's not that it disappears, but the user interface has disappeared. So it'd be like, you learn to drive a manual car, a gear stick, as they say in America, right, Jeanine? And then you get into an automatic car. So it's different, but some of the skills you learned before will be still relevant, but the rules have changed significantly. And I suppose the best thing for us to do is just summarize what's going to change. So Jeanine, when if you take the photography industry and someone's looking for a wedding photographer, right, what would they typically do?
Well, up until now, they would typically type in wedding photographer near me, or I'm here in Tampa, right? Wedding photographer, Tampa, Florida. My favorite, best wedding photographer, Tampa, Florida. Or they might even put in a style, photojournalistic styled wedding photographer, Tampa, Florida. Do you like my keyboard?
I did. I can see. I like the keyboard. So when they did that, Google would obviously, we're all familiar with this, would give us a list, right? And photographers and all businesses worked really, really hard to try and be on the first page of Google search, because if you weren't on that first page, very few people would ever go to page 2 or page 3. And there was various strategies across the length of time that Google had been around to make sure we were on page 1, right? So do you remember the keyword stuffing days? And then Google changed the algorithm to punish you if you did that. There was, a time where it was always about blogging, and we were all blogging to try and get in the first page of Google. And then, of course, they launched Google sponsored ads. So that was always the easiest way for us in any business I've been in. Just pay Google to be on the first page. Don't be worried about all that time that goes into blogging and trying to fool the algorithm, because the algorithm always catches up and punishes you then if you were trying to fool it. So that was the old way, Steve, or the way that's changing, because it's only changed in May.
And it was like overnight. I actually walked into the studio and all my web browsers had shut down. And I had to relaunch them. And then when I relaunched them, I had my notification from Google when I opened my web browsers that everything had been updated.
So what now? What now, Ren? What should photographers be focused on?
Actually, before what now, I actually had to Google what it meant, right? Like I used the AI Google search yesterday to explain to me what the difference was. I'm like, can you give me like a 2-sentence summary of what this change means? Because I think that when you just say it changed, and even if you give the analogy of before, I think people might not understand what that means. And I've actually played with it since yesterday. So Can I read to you what it told me it means? And I said, give me a 2-sentence simple answer as to what this means.
Do you want me to go first, Jeanine, and see how accurate I am, or whether Google is more accurate than me? Here's how it's changed: is that Google are moving where they're AI agents, and they're going to have like millions of AI agents who are going to be able to ask somebody who's interacting, looking for something, as much information as possible, and then go find the business that best suits what they're looking for.
It's a really good version of what Google told me. Look at you, Ronan. 5 stars. So Google said traditional search engines just match your keywords to a list of websites and leave you to do the reading. AI search acts like a personal research assistant that reads the web for you, combines the best facts, and instantly writes you a clear, direct answer.
There you go. So very similar. I think Google was more what's the word I'm looking for? Tell me what word I'm looking for. More precise, but didn't translate it for the photographer. So it's important we translate it for the photographer. So let's just talk about then the key things, because Steve and Jeanine, we've been on this journey back with our members since November, preparing them to be found by AI, not knowing that Google were going to launch this.
You had your suspicions though, didn't you?
Well, you also have your suspicions, because there's a race on, right? There's a race on between XAI, which is Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini, which is Google's version. And of course, Google are a very clever, profitable company full of really clever people. And they knew that if they didn't change, that their business model was going to die, because with people asking AI to find them the solution to their problem, they had no choice if they were going to maintain their business but to change. But here's a really interesting thing that people may not know. So Google actually invented AI, but did a Kodak on it. They decided not to launch it to the market till someone else launched first. And that's when ChatGPT launched. And then Google went, oh, sugar, we better act here, because we all know what happened to Kodak when they left it for too long to launch a digital camera, and then launched. But Google, I think, are well positioned to do really well in this race, because they're the best known brand. We're already used to using them for search. They just needed to get their act together and roll out their AI tools to enable to deliver for clients. So Jeanine, what's really interesting is, like, if you take what's going to happen now, so let's just take the analogy of weddings, right? Because we started with that. So if there's a bride and she creates a Pinterest, right? Pins all the look and feel she wants for her wedding photography and has an idea of a budget in mind. She can now upload that Pinterest board, and she can add whatever else she wants in, and she can talk to it and describe in detail what she's looking for, including the sort of budget. And the Google AI agent will go off and try and find the photographer that best matches what she's looking for, not just from a photographic style point of view, not just from a budget indication point of view, but also the most important part that will often be missed by photographers is who you serve as a photographer, why you serve them, and why it's important. The words. Steve loves the words.
Well, I kind of think the consumers are probably better able to describe that than they are style. When it comes to your average person describing the style you like, and I know you can create a Pinterest board and put a bunch of photos on it and create that for the AI to look at. But describing that is more difficult for your average consumer. And so who you serve and why you serve them, I think for most people becomes really important, because most people want to build trust and build a connection with the people that they work with. And the AI needs something to work with in order to match you with someone.
And Jeanine, when we go to a lot of photographers' websites, right, we just see galleries after galleries after galleries with very few words, right? You're now dead in the water, because what we talked about initially was be findable, but Steve has just talked about you need to be believable. And it's the words that make you believable. It's the words that show who you serve, how you serve them, why you serve them, and what you believe. That will all come out in that, and that comes out through the words. So many photographers are not set up for this, because 9 out of 10 photographer websites I visit, it's primarily just galleries after gallery after gallery after gallery. And yes, the AI can look at the photos, but unless it knows what these photos are about and who you are and who you serve and what they mean to your clients, well, then it's going to ignore you.
So do the client stories now matter then?
So the client stories do matter, Steve, but as we've been teaching, Jeanine, what did we teach about what AI will do? So if it sees your testimonials or it sees your client stories, we've been teaching our members, right?
We've been teaching them that one, it needs authentic stories with very emotional details, not Steve had an amazing time and loved his photos. 5 stars. Right? It has to, the transformation has to be described. The emotions have to be there. And AI has I don't know how it works its magic voodoo in the background. I don't, I don't work at these companies. I just know what they tell us. And uh, that it will know if it's a fake or real testimonial. It must have ways of sensing like made up words like that or uh, common things that people will say in a fake review or a self-written review, and it's only gonna read the real testimonials of a client, the real stories of a client.
Yeah. And we'll keep the last one. We'll keep the last one to last because I know this is going to be Steve's favorite one, the last important thing. But there's going to be a real debate before we get to that. The third thing that you have to be is you have to be bookable. So what does that mean? Well, it means one, that the agent has to be able to book you. And initially, how it'll do that is it'll search out to see what your call to actions are on your website. So, book a discovery call or fill out a form, or whatever that might be, right? But it's going to open a really big debate for the photography industry, Jeanine, because the research is saying that if somebody suggests a potential budget that they have, if you don't have some pricing indication on your website for the AI agent to see it, it'll ignore you unless it's there.
That's interesting, Ronan.
So that's going to be a big debate, right?
It is. How many websites have we even seen without a phone number on it?
Yes. Yes.
Very hard to find.
It's like they're trying to be mysterious photographers.
And sometimes a location, like trying to work out.
That's going to be all key, Steve. And even things that we talk about and we've been teaching our members. And we've created our own AI called KCB for everyone who's listening who doesn't know yet within Accelerator AI. And KCB has been programmed with the knowledge of Steve and Jeanine and Jonathan, myself. And KCB is now helping our members to create AI ready content based on the frameworks we've taught it, but being able to do this 24/7 for you at speed, but not at speed for the sake of speed, but quality speed, which is a different thing. And the key thing about that is that one of the things that AI agents, what do they actually read, right? So what they actually read is your schema. And when we mentioned this to our members, most of our members said, well, what's the schema? And we said, well, it's probably written in JSON, which is one of the programming languages, and it's written a certain way so the AI can read it. And they said, oh, so do we need to be programmers to do that? And our answer was no, because KCB is going to do that for you. What you have to do is make sure that who you serve by knowing your client avatars, how you serve them, why you want to serve them, that all of that the AI can't do for you. You have to do that, but KCB can help you, walk you through the frameworks that we've all put into KCB as a collective team and help you figure that out. But there's an important, really important piece here, and that is that we've talked about AI agents, right? And yes, it's important that it can be read by AI agents, but it also has to be human. Because Jeanine, do you remember when we talked to our members about this way back in November from the very beginning, about AI agents is not like keyword search. It's a completely different strategy.
And it is because people are changing the way they ask questions, and so they're going to they're searching. People are not searching location and thing anymore. They're in their AI search agents, and now it'll be in Google. They're asking for help with something. And now those AI agents are going out and searching for the solution to what they're looking for help with.
Because Jeanine, you might remember when you talked about ChatGPT, right? And, when you were in a certain difficult position with your family, right? But you had AI has been taught to have a conversation with us. It's taught to be human, right? So I think this is going to be the biggest challenge that people have who are used to keyword stuffing and SEO and make sure the keywords work within Google, is that Google's now changing to be the same as ChatGPT or Claude in terms of how you interact with it. So it's built around conversation. So I think that's probably going to be a challenge for most people, even using it initially, to know that they can do that. But effectively, that's where it's going.
But what's interesting, Ronan, I find is that people adapt fast. And so if a photographer's thinking, oh, well, people are still just going to search for a photographer near me in their Google, they're not. They're going to figure out real quick that they can be very specific about looking for things that they want, and their search habits will change fast. My mother has adapted to AI. She's 80. I heard that on one of those podcasts we listened to, Ronan, the mother test, right? If your mother starts doing something, that means it's infiltrated everything.
It does. It does. And the interesting thing about the AI is like if you just go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT that, is it going to go and find you? No, it's going to ask you some questions, right, to find out more. Well, the AI in Google is going to do exactly the same thing. It's not going to take, like you did search, it's not going to take your first answer. It's going to look to qualify what you actually need more, the same way as ChatGPT does or Claude.
So I'll give you a retail example in a way, because I just did this yesterday. We're going on vacation. I was trying to find, and this is stupid. I was trying to find a pair of the specific pajamas that I wanted to wear on this boat. And the ones that I had seen, I couldn't get shipped to me fast enough because they're not on Amazon. I mean, come on now. Everybody should ship in 2 days as far as I'm concerned. This 8 to 10 days is for the birds. Anyways, so I knew that Google had this new agent mode. And so I went into their AI search and I took a picture of, like, I had a picture of the pajamas I wanted. And I said, here is my problem. I am leaving for vacation on June 1st. I need these pajamas by May 29th. Can you find them for me anywhere on the internet that can ship them to me in time? And it went off and it did its thing. And it was interesting. It showed me all the places I could buy those specific pajamas, and then gave me the bad news that no one could ship them to me fast enough. And then it gave me all sorts of alternatives. And it said, for a similar look and style and feel, do you want silky? Do you want cotton? It started asking me all these questions. And then it said, we can go off and find you something similar. And so it's very interesting. And that was just in one day, right? Like 3 days ago, I would have said, find me, these types of, like, where can I buy these types of pajamas? But now that I know that I can go off and do all this work for me, I was like, here, go find me something I can have by such and such a date. I'll pay for the expedited shipping. I don't care. Just I want them by then. And that was just a very simple example because honestly, we've known about this for 48 hours. And my mind is already starting to think about how I can use it for my benefit. So people are going to catch on to this really fast. And so if your website isn't set up to answer people's questions on what they're doing, you're not going to be found. Your statement in the beginning is so true.
So you're well ahead of the curve, Jeanine, on this, right? Because you've been working on this. You've been working this since November.
Yeah, we've been working on this in November, and so have our members, and that's fantastic, right? We've been ahead of this curve. We knew this was coming. We didn't know when exactly. We didn't know when D-Day was. We didn't know how exactly. We just knew it was coming.
Yeah, well, we knew it was coming because we saw that people were using ChatGPT to find products. And like ChatGPT has already launched, it's just launched its advertising platform, right? Where you can now advertise on ChatGPT if people are searching for you, that you could, like you would with Facebook ads or Instagram ads. So like they're all starting to converge around the same thing and they're all competing with each other. But Steve, you'll be really, really happy at the fourth key thing that's required, which is you need to be human, which basically translates is that the empathy and the experience and story that only you can deliver, that the AI agent will be able to read that, understand it, and link it to what it perceives the desires of the person who's searching actually wants.
That is exciting because you hear a lot of people say, we capture your story, we're storytellers, but there's no conversation in capturing the story beforehand. So, I mean, does that mean that you can't just put up a bunch of photos and AI is going to know that you capture people's stories? Or if you just say we capture stories, well, I'm assuming that you can't just say we capture stories. You have to sort of have a variety of stories that match whatever this person's looking for the AI to find you. Is that right?
That's right. Because what the AI is going to do is the AI is going to quiz the searcher to understand exactly what they need and why they need it. And then it'll be able to match that why with the business's why as to what they can deliver. So I don't have any research to back that up just yet. As Jeanine said, this is 48 hours, or whatever it is, when we made this podcast old. But what I do know from our research leading into this is that's where it's going. All the big providers, they are working really, really hard to make their version of whether it's ChatGPT or Grok or anything to be more emotional. I know Elon Musk won't like me saying this, but I think Grok are well behind on this. So I wouldn't worry about going near Grok if I were you guys. I would stick to ChatGPT, Claude, and now Gemini. The race to be the winner is between those three. And certainly for the consumer space, I think ChatGPT and Gemini, that the race is really between them, because Claude and Anthropic are primarily concentrating on the enterprise level stuff, which is not where we are in our industry that we need to worry about. So well, I love this because, Jeanine, you think we were in the difference maker time machine and Steve, and we went forward in time to May 2026 before we designed what all of our members started to learn last November and implement. Because literally it's all there already. Our members have such an edge, like their first mover advantage here. There's always first mover advantage, and they've such an edge. They're so far ahead of 99% of our industry on this. So that's exciting.
It is exciting. And they're ahead for two reasons, Ronan. One, they've been doing the work since then. So their websites have already made all of these changes. But two, they're now in the habit and they have their systems in place and their workflows in place to be doing this on a weekly basis, which is huge because it wasn't easy in the beginning to get that rhythm. And it's a matter of getting your rhythm. But yeah, they have, God, what is it, 6 months now of information built up on their websites. So huge mover advantage.
And don't forget about KCB to guide them and get stuff done.
What I love about KCB is that, so there's two aspects of something, right? You have to learn what it's about and how to do it, right? And what to do. And then there's the actually doing it. Sometimes people takes them so long to understand what they need to do and how they need to do it, right? And why they need to do it. They lose so much time with that. Well, but KCB, we've designed KCB specifically that she's doing it with you as you learn. So you're getting the stuff done as you learn why and what and how you need to do it. So I think that's a massive, like when we all sat down, do you remember about a year ago? And we were strategically looking at where we should go with Difference Maker Revolution. And we predicted that training on its own will struggle badly in the future. And what AI enables us to do is not lose the human element, which is key, right? So the human coaching is still there, but we can accelerate the human coaching by having KCB as an AI programmed with our knowledge to work with you 24/7 whenever you need her to not only learn, but implement as well. And I think that's the key thing.
Yeah, I think it's key, Ronan, because she can work along with you. But I think what else is key too, and don't underplay what Difference Maker also provides to our members. And that's being able, I know you mentioned it, but I think it's worthy mentioning again. There is so much change happening all the time. And as an entrepreneur, as an individual business owner, most people, that's what they are. To be able to stay on top of it on your own would be impossible. I mean, literally, you would have to be consuming content all the time in order to know what was coming, what was changing, and actually how to implement it strategically for your own business. But that's what we're doing. That's what we obsess about for all of our members. So they don't have to do it themselves. They can join in our weekly meeting and we have the plan already worked out for them. And so I think that's also a huge advantage for our members. They have KCB programming every day to be doing more and more alongside them. They have their weekly coaching, still human weekly coaching with us. They have the ability to ask us live questions once a week, and they can trust in the fact that they know if a change is coming, they're going to hear it first here. That's huge.
And if you think just from a marketing perspective, because that's what we're talking about here, right? So we're talking about, like, Google themselves, their own words, is that Google is now top of funnel, right? So what does that mean? It means that literally Google is now going to be handling that top, putting that potential client into your funnel. The human who's searching for the solution, doing anything, right? That's effectively the big change here. While before you had to convince the human who was searching to click on your website link and enter your funnel, right? Now Google is putting that potential client into your funnel based on what it knows about you. So that's the key driver there. But if you think about that change, right? And if you think about the meta change only a month ago, Jeanine and Steve, that we've been also training our members on, because Meta's another AI player, right? They're using AI all the time, and Meta, with their changes in terms of how they've changed who they show your ad to and at what price they show your ad to based on what you're doing with your social media content and how that aligns and how people are interacting with that. Like these are two massive changes that before we might see once every 3 or 4 years, and now they're coming quarterly. Like it's just, there's a group that I follow in this whole AI space, and they're all leading experts in different areas. On this week's podcast, it's changing so quickly. We all need to retire from our jobs just to try keep track of it. So we can just keep track of it, which they can't obviously do based on who these people are. But that's how quick it's changing. So Jeanine, and as Jeanine has said, as an organization, we are constantly scanning, we're constantly looking, we're constantly first in our industry, I believe, to bring you what's happening on the business side and how AI is going to impact your business, your sales, your marketing, all that piece of it. And there's plenty of people talking about the workflow. We know that, but we don't need to talk about it because workflows don't matter until you've actually got clients. And as Steve tells us all, great clients are made, not found. And the found piece is changing in terms of, because you do need that initial potential client, right, to raise their hands so that you can then turn them into and make them into a great client. But the found piece is changing. We might just whet the appetite a little bit, Jeanine, because we talked about with the Google change, where it's the human interacting with an AI to go and do the search and is checking your website. But the not too distant future, you're going to need an AI agent who's going to interact with the Google AI agent so they can actually have a conversation and so that they can then agree that you are the right solution for the person who's searching. But you don't have to worry about that just yet. But that is coming. It's something you're going to probably have to do in the next 12 months. And the right place to learn about all of this, what you need to do today, what you need to do tomorrow, what you need to do within the next 12 months, is to join the inner circle. So all you have to do is click on the link below and apply to join the inner circle. We will review your application. We will discuss whether we believe you are a right fit, because not everyone is a right fit for the Difference Maker Revolution, and the Difference Maker Revolution is not a right fit for everybody. So just click on the link, submit your application, and we hope to be able to welcome you inside the inner circle. That's it for this podcast. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Hi, everybody.